Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm just going to share my screen. Just as a disclaimer, you'll have to apologise. I seem to have caught the cold that everybody in the UK has at the moment. Going to power through it. We're going to do it. But if I sneeze or cough, you just have to excuse me. But today's webinar topic is on our pop-up panels. And our kind of session is going to go with an overview of pop-up panels. Where to use the pop-up panels and what templates they're available in, the styling and layout options that you have available in the pop-up panels, how to use custom content, so for example HTML and CSS, and also how to embed other Flourish visualizations into your pop-up panels. Today's session is going to be by me, Olivia, and Simona will be in the chat to answer any questions that you may have. And I do have a chat. Oh, lovely. Sorry, thank you, Simona. So yeah, if you do have any questions throughout the session, just pop them in the chat and Simona will be able to answer them for you. So first, let's begin with an overview of pop-up panels. Now, pop-up panels were recently introduced this year in March. And although Flourish has always allowed pop-ups, we never had this kind of customization of panels. And so what panels allow you to do is add more content and really allow your users to delve deep into the data and visualizations that you're creating. Within your pop-up panels, you have the ability to include images, custom HTML and CSS, embed, so things like YouTube and Spotify, as well as other Flourish visualizations, which I will show you later. Oh, wrong way. So there are only a certain number of templates that currently support the pop-up panels. At the moment, these are cards, 3D map hierarchy, braid art, survey, projection map, and scatter. Originally, it was only a couple of them. So, for example, I think it was only cards, projection map, and scatter, possibly. So we are constantly adding this feature into more templates that they are relevant to. So you will be able to expect them to pop up in more in the future. Just so you know as well, after the session, when you grab the slides, you can click onto these and you can easily get to the template chooser, so you can have a look at those as well. So with the pop-up panels, you have a bunch of different styling and layout options. And so we'll just have a look at those now. And I'll quickly show you what a pop-up panel even looks like. So if I just go on to our cards template. So I'm just going to click on this carousel. And what I'll do is I'll just go up to these pop-ups and panels. I'll click on panel. And then when you click on the data point, it will then pop up with this pop-up panel that's been pulled in from the data tab and things like that. With the pop-ups and panels, you can opt for having just a pop-up. You can opt for just having a panel, or you can even do both. So for example, when I hover over these, you can now see that it says click to see more. And so when you click on it, it then gives you the pop-up panel. But if you did just want to keep the pop-ups as normal, you can also just do that. And so with the styling options in the pop-up panels, I really wish I could get rid of this Zoom thing because it's okay, it's okay. You have a bunch of different kind of styling options. So what you can do is if you go on to the pop-up and panels and click on the show panel styles, you'll then get this list of styling options that you can do. So for example, the first ones are the width and the height. And in these, you can kind of alter how tall the pop-up panel is. And it all depends on the kind of where you position your pop-up panels to be. And so we have a bunch of different options in this. You can have it overlaid on top of the data and the visualization. You can have it panned to the left, so it always just applies on the left. You can have it on the right, on the top, or on the bottom. And you can also have an option to have always to show. So for example, if I had it on left, I can just click through these and it will then still stay there, and you can just kind of see all the pop-up panels as you go through. The open duration, so the open duration is how quick it takes to load up. So for example, if I just turn off this always to show, and this open duration, if I change this to maybe 1,500, you can see that it takes a bit longer to kind of animate in. And so that's just kind of a preference for you to choose whether you want it to be quite quickly zooming in or anything like that. As well, this placeholder content. So if you do have it on always to show, you will see that when I just refresh this, it'll just have this little kind of tap or click to explore, and that's just where you can kind of change that information. So you can just kind of change the text and styling of that in there. Going back to the panels kind of styling. So as I mentioned, you can change the width. So for example, here you can see that that is now changing width. If I had it on the top, you can see that the height would then start changing as well. Obviously, the width doesn't really apply in this sense, just because it'll just match the kind of width of the visualization anyway. So the height and width, depending on which one you're using, won't really be as relevant. You can then change the max height as well. So this will just be depending on what kind of device that your users are viewing on. The text color, so this is if you don't want to use custom content and you kind of just want to allow Flourish to pull in your data, have it automated, and just change the styling in this way. So I could change this to a grey. You can change the pop-up panel color as well. So I can change it to a red. You can change the text size, the alignment, how thick of opacity the kind of opacity is. So you can choose it to be quite opaque or not. And the padding as well, so the padding around the text, and also the radius at the bottom, so you can see that it's becoming more rounded as I do that. And as well, you can change the label weight as well from normal to bold, and whether it has a nice shadow on the pop-up panel. But yeah, those are the kind of standard settings that you can apply when you're just kind of using automated pop-up panels. But if you do want to take it a bit further, you can also use custom content. And custom content, this is where you can kind of really stylize it to how you want it. So you can use HTML and CSS. And it's very simple. So if I just go on back to this, what you can do is, so in here, we've already got all of our columns chosen. So all of our data is kind of relevant. If you do have additional data that you want to pull into the pop-ups, what you can do is you can use this info for pop-ups down here. So this is just useful for if you do have columns that aren't immediately relevant for the visualization, you can just pull in that data to be in just the pop-ups or panels. But we don't need to do that because we can see here that all of our options are pulled in. And what we can do now is, so if you go to your pop-ups and panels again, I'm just going to change this fill color because I don't really like that red. There we go, and I'll just change this to black as well. What you can do is you can go onto the panels and you can click on the panel content custom. And so now what it will say is, I'm just going to turn that off. So when it pops in, you'll see now that it's just pulling in this custom header and custom main content. And what we can do is we can reference our column names to pull in that data column. And so, for example, if I wanted our header to be the name of the market, what I can do is I can just copy and paste that or just type it in. And then I'll put these two little mustaches, this is what we call them here, put two mustaches, close those mustaches, and then you can see that it is now pulling in that column. And it's just really useful for kind of making them less generalized and kind of giving them a bit of individuality. Then you've got the main content. And so this is where you can start to kind of adapt and add special things like images, embeds, and things like that. I'm just going to quickly give you an example of kind of a bit of stylizing that you may want to do. So, for example, also I should mention, I'm just going to try and move this Zoom thing because I wanted to show you. We do have a, oh, hang on. Sorry about this. If I can't see anything with this little Zoom bar. There we go. We do have a help doc on how to use custom HTML and CSS. And so if you aren't too familiar with coding, don't worry, we do have this useful help doc. And to be honest, it's not really, if you don't want to kind of style them or but you want to just change this kind of structure, you can still just use this styling option as well, because that will still be pulled in. But now for the panel custom main content, I'm just going to pull in a couple more of our columns. And so, for example, I'm just going to pull in where the market is. So I'm going to put where, and then I'm going to put these little mustaches, put that, and then we can do that. For example, as well, so if I did want to kind of stylize this a bit more, what I could do is I could add like a bolden tag. And so that's just strong. and then like that, and it'll bolden that. And that is shown in here as well. So you can find out how to do that and just little styling options in our help doc there. As well, so if you did want to kind of style them a bit more, you can, if you are familiar with HTML and CSS, you can even add like a mini style sheet in here as well, and just kind of reference like p tags and things like that. So all the options are there for you. And then as well, you can bring in images. So what I can do is I can just put like an image tag, pop the image thing in here. So pop in the image source, close that, and then our image pops up. And obviously you can change the width and things like that. So I could just put the width at like 100%. There we go. And so, yeah, that's how you would do that if you did want to kind of do it whole customization option there. Okay, so yeah, I'll just put a little bit of information there, exactly what I've just kind of gone through as well. So the next thing that you can do as well is you can embed Flourish visualizations. Embedding Flourish visualizations is really useful if you kind of want to bring in other visualizations that you've created and you want to kind of pull them in and show your users a bit more depth and a bit more into your data. So this is an example on the right here. So you can see that when I'm clicking on this, it allows us to explore more data. And so you can see that we've got all of our dog breeds and we can see through them. So yeah, so I'll show you how to do that now. And the way this works is it uses just an iframe from the visualization that you create. And so what you can do is, we'll now go into here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into, for example, a column chart stacked. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of take one of these columns out for now, give it a name. So for embed, maybe change the colors if I want to. So I can just do that. Export and publish. And then once you've exported and published this, what it will allow you to do is to grab an iframe of this visualization as you would. You may just want to change the height of this as well, just because otherwise in the pop-up panel, 600 pixels may be a bit big, but it all depends on what kind of height you have for your pop-up panel. And so for the height, I'm just going to put in 300 pixels. I'm going to copy that iframe. And then I'm going to go into a different template just to kind of show you the options that you have. So I'm going to go into the world template of the projection map. And what I'll do is I'll do exactly the same as I would. I'll go into the pop-ups and panels, go into panels. And I should mention with the projection map one as well, you do have the option, for example, if you do want to use points and regions, you can have pop-up panels for both of them. And so you can see now that I've added it onto the points. And so when we click on them, it pops up with a panel. Then you could just have a pop-up for the regions as well. And that isn't able to be clicked on. So for the points, I'm going to just go on custom. And you don't even need to have a header if you don't want to. You can kind of just leave that out. But I'm going to include it. So I'm just going to include the name of the country. So I'm going to put the name. Or what's the points one actually? What's the points one? Yeah, it's just name. There we go. And then what I'll do is in the main content, I will just paste in that iframe code. Then I can click onto here, and you can then see that we've now embedded a Flourish visualization into here, and it's fully interactive. Additionally, what you can do is, so if I go onto this for embed again, if I did want to bring in that column once more, I could just republish that, then go back into that visualization. And we can see that now it is updated. So just as kind of like a story works or anything like that, you have the ability to easily just republish, and wherever it's embedded, it will just automatically update. Do you see a message? Okay, if I can, yeah. Thank you, Simona. Yeah, but if you did then need to kind of change the height of the iframe as well, what you can do is you can just kind of go into the code, and you can also just change the height embed to maybe, let's say 600 like it was before. And you can just change that easily by looking for the height. So that is how you embed a Flourish visualization. And then we do also have this option of embedding different Flourish visualizations. So this comes in useful for if you kind of wanted to put individual Flourish visualizations into a visualization panels. So what you can do is you can bring in different visualizations. So I'll just quickly go into the app. And so I'll just go into a different one now. So I might go into the scatter. Oh, sorry, it's saying pause, sorry. Trying to get used to all of the different windows. Okay, so you know what? Let's stick with the projection map. Projection map works fine. So I'm just going to open a new tab and I'm going to go to Flourish. New visualization. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a bunch of different visualizations at this point. So I'm going to create an area chart. I'm just going to put for embed. And maybe I'm just going to only include columns B to C. There we go. Took a minute to upload that. I'm just going to duplicate this for embed 2. And I'm just going to include those extra columns in there. And so what I'm going to do now is use these two visualizations as kind of an example of showing you how you would include the different visualizations. So once again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to publish this visualization. I'm going to grab the iframe and I'm going to give it a height of 300. And so what I'm going to first do is I'm going to grab this iframe code, but we're not going to use it the same as we did before. So what we're going to do is we're going to just copy in that iframe code. And then where you see the Flourish visualization ID, which is like the ID that's specific to the visualization you've created, what you're going to want to do is just replace that. Similar to how we was just kind of referencing into columns, what we're going to want to do is we're going to put in a column ID. And so although we haven't created that column ID yet, we're going to do that now. So that is basically going to call in the ID that we put into the visualization, into the data tab. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert a new column. I'm going to call this ID. And then what I'm going to do, so going back to that visualization I've just created, you can find the URL, the ID, either in the URL or within the iframe or in the little showcase page. I'm just going to grab it from the URL for now. I'm going to go back to my projection map and I'm going to copy and paste that in here. I'm going to copy and paste it down for a couple. And then what I'm going to do is, I've just realized I've probably used a difficult one to show because there's so many different points that it might get a bit confusing, but it's fine, it's fine. I'm now going to go into this one. I'm going to export this. And once again, I'm just going to grab that iframe URL or the ID, sorry. Now I'm going to paste that one in here as well. Oh, I'm going to insert a new column so it's easier to see that. There we go. There we go. And so then when I click on this, oh, well, that's great. That's why. So I haven't bound that column. It's a cold going there for me. I haven't bound the column for it to pop up within the pop-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in that column name into there. And then when I click on it, it should pull in. There we go. And so then let's try and find it in a different one. Maybe up in here. Is this going to show the other one? Doesn't seem I'm having much luck trying to find the other version. What other one is it in? Okay. Oh. I really did choose the wrong kind of template for this one. This one? No. But I feel like you guys might get the idea. But yeah, so you can bring in different visualizations in that way. I do want to just kind of go over doing a bit more custom content as well, because I feel like I kind of rushed past that bit. How long have we got left? Yeah, we've got about 8 minutes left. And so if I just go into a cards template again, and for example, in the cards, if we didn't want to show any of this kind of data and we just wanted to show it, in the pop-ups instead. So what I'll do is I'll just remove these. I'll keep the image, but I'll just remove like the subtitle and that one. And then what I'll do is in the info for pop-ups, I'll just include those. And so now we have kind of just a basic card with an image. And so now we can really include all that information into the pop-up panel. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a panel, put on custom content, give this maybe just the, so this is where you can kind of use H tags, like header tags. I'm just going to put the name and close that. And when we click on that, that's going to pop up like that. Wonderful. You can then also do kind of some alignment in this as well. So you could do like a center tag, and then it will pop it into the center. And then in the panel custom main content, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in these different ones now as well. So what I'm going to first do is I'm just going to bring in that image. Image. And I'll give it a width of 100% and a height of 100%. That works. Yep, that looks okay. I might will give it 50 actually, just because it looks a bit big. There we go. And once again, I'm just going to put that into the center as well. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in these ones, so where it is. So we can put where in our strong tag. And we can just reference that column. We put where. And then we can include the nearest station. And for example, in here, I could put another header tag. And we can put nearest station. Should also mention as well that like the explanation of all these like header tags and stuff, they're in that help doc as well, and that I've linked into our in the slides as well for today's session. I'm gonna put those on there. So when I click on that, there we go. And then what was the last one? I think the last one was just when it's open. Yeah. And so we can just put in H4 opening hours. And it will open. There we go. And then if you did kind of want to change any of the like text colors in the code, what you can do is you can put a style tag, or even just in here. So I'll show 2 examples. So you can do H3 style, and you can put color, let's say red, and then you can change it like that. Or you can do as well H4 and reference it in some CSS code. You can do H4 color, and let's do yellow. There we go. Oh, it's a bit vibrant. There we go. So yeah, that's another option that you can do. I'm just going to close those style tags. Okay. So I'm just going to present this again. Okay, so if there is anything that anybody kind of wants me to go over again, because I do feel like I may have rushed through them then, but we do have a bunch of help docs and resources anyway on these. So the first one is how to add pop-ups and panels to your visualization. So this is kind of what I've just gone over today, but with some kind of images and a bit more depth. How to add custom content to your pop-ups and panels. So if what I was just kind of doing may have kind of lost you a bit, or you're worried that you may not be able to remember exactly what I was doing in this session today, you can always go to this help doc and it just explains it as well. Additionally, how to embed charts into your pop-ups or panels. And so as I've shown you today, it just kind of how to embed an iframe, and then how to also embed separate visualization IDs in there. We then also have the how to format the contents in your panels in a table. And this is just a really nice kind of visualization of how you can use custom content to create this really nice kind of layout for a bit more depth in your visualizations. And so, yeah, we've got the code here as well for you, so you can kind of just adapt it a little bit as well. And then we do also, we released a blog post on the pop-up panels. And so you can see here, it was in March this year, but just kind of some examples. And yeah, we've added them to a lot since March. So it was only in projection, radar and cards. And now you can see that we've added them to a lot more. So a lot more there will be added to as well. And if there are any questions, we do have some time now where we can answer them. But also you can send them over to hello@flourish.studio. But as always, thank you so much for watching.